Hey. I was thinking, so you know what that means. It meant I had to come on here and do a video. But I was thinking about something for the past couple of weeks. I actually did a video last week and I chose not to post it because I felt angry and I didn't want to come across angry. So I said, you know what? I'm going to hold on to this and I'll just do it another day. But it started with the Nikole Hannah-Jones situation. If you don't know who she is, she wrote the 1619 Project. If you don't know that, go Google it. But she won a Pulitzer for it. But she was up for tenure at the University of North Carolina. And they denied it to her, even though she met all the requirements. She had all the people do the recommendations that needed to be done. Everything was met. And the board said no. No. Now, did they say why? I'm not even sure if they said why. What they did is offer her a 5-year contract. But we know anybody who's in academia, they want tenure because that means you can't be fired. That gives you freedom to teach the way you want to teach. They didn't want to give her that. And I heard that she has counsel. I'm not sure if that's true, but I felt some kind of way about that because it's something about when you try to dim someone's light and her light is too bright to be dimmed. But it reminds me of how they tried to do Simone Biles. Simone Biles is such a great gymnast that she created a move that no one else has ever been able to do. And you know what they did? They said it's illegal to do that one because only she can do it. What is that? I mean, why can't we just celebrate her greatness? It bothers me. And then when I watch the basketball and I see that there's players being spit at, they were water bottle thrown at them, popcorn thrown on their heads, families disrespected by fans. I mean, what is going on? Why do people feel that they have the right to do anything and everything they want to do? Why can't they behave? I don't understand. But here we are celebrating 100 years. We're not necessarily celebrating, but remembering the massacre that took place in Tulsa, Oklahoma 100 years ago. It's where 10,000 people were left homeless. Hundreds were killed. Over 1,000 businesses destroyed. Churches destroyed. Movie theaters, hotels owned by Black people. Gone in a matter of 18 hours. Planes flying overhead, dropping things down, killing people, destroying buildings. All because the white people did not like the fact that Black people were creating their own wealth. So they got rid of it in 18 hours. And still to this day, nothing has been done to help the people who lost everything. Because I heard that the insurance companies weren't given money because they blamed it on a riot. So none of the people were able to get money from that. How many people know about that? I mean, as a Black person, I will hope that you know, but I can't guarantee that you do because it's not something that's necessarily taught in school. I even heard about a situation that happened in Elaine, Arkansas, 2 years prior to in 1919, where farmers were trying to come together and unionize, and the white people didn't like that. So what they do, they killed them. This is not that long ago. My grandmother, who just died last year, she lived through both of those situations and so much more. So this is some people's lifetime because there are people who are still alive that were in the Oklahoma Massacre. They were there during that time. So we're not talking about generations and generations and generations ago. This is some people's lifetime. And here we are today, where polls are saying that people are now tired of hearing about Black Lives Matter. After the George Floyd's verdict, they did a poll. The numbers are lower than what it was before George Floyd actually got murdered. So they're tired of hearing about how racist this country is and how Black people have to step up and say our lives matter. But they don't think about how it is for a Black person who experiences racism every day. Every day. The same Black people who every time get pulled over by a cop is terrified. I don't know one person, and I'm just saying, speaking for myself, as far as my family and friends, at least the ones that I've talked to about this, who don't get afraid when being pulled over by a cop because you don't know if you're going to die. Imagine that. Imagine. I was thinking about something. People know about this 100-year since the massacre in Tulsa because it's been on the news all weekend long. So hopefully some new people learned about it. But I remember not learning about this in school, but I learned about all these other things that really, I don't even want to keep space in my mind for because I didn't feel that it was relevant to me. And it reminds me of a speaker that I heard recently, and the speaker had a famous name. And so I'm not going to give his name. So I'm going to say Abe Lincoln. Okay. We'll just use that as an example. So he was talking about how he went to speak to a school in Roanoke, Virginia, named Abe Lincoln. I just happened to have family in Roanoke, Virginia, who happened to go to the school named Abe Lincoln. Okay. So he's talking about this, and one of the students came up to him and said, "Is Abe Lincoln your real name?" And he said, "Yeah, it is." And the person said, "So you're named after the mall?" And he's like, "The mall?" And he realized that there's a mall named Abe Lincoln in Roanoke, Virginia. I didn't think anything of it. Yes, I know what kind of school Abe Lincoln is because my family went to Abe Lincoln. But what I thought about is you expect these kids to know about Abe Lincoln, which has nothing to do with your life or their lives. But yet we don't even teach the things that really affects them. We don't really learn about slavery the way it should be. They don't even want to acknowledge the 1619 Project. They don't want it taught in schools. They don't want people to know what really happened in this country. Because if we knew what really happened back then we can understand why we are where we are today. They don't want us to know that. They don't want you to know that. Because a lot of us who do our own research and, have our own history lessons and things of that nature, we do know. And so we understand. But there are some people who don't. So when this guy was upset, I shouldn't say upset, but when he made a point of mentioning that they didn't know about Abe Lincoln, I was like, neither do I. I don't know this man. I know we have a school named Abe Lincoln here in Cleveland, and it's not really Abe Lincoln again, but I don't know who Abe Lincoln is because that didn't interest me, because I knew at a young age that everything that I'm reading is about them and not me. I didn't feel included in these stories. None of them really felt that great to me. But yet we don't talk about what happened to Black people here in this country. At least many people don't, and many people don't know. And I really do hope that people will go and read about the massacre that occurred in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Read about the massacre that occurred in Elaine, Arkansas in 1916. You can watch MSNBC tonight at 10 o'clock. They'll have a program. Or was that yesterday? I don't know, but you can watch. I think Gayle King is doing something at 10 o'clock on CBS. There's a lot going on that's talking about the Tulsa situation. But one thing that I did see on the Tiffany Cross Connection show, she interviewed the mayor and asked about reparations. Like, here it is, this man whose family had slaves for generations, who benefited and now have generational wealth because of it. Yet the Black people who were trying to have generational wealth have nothing. Like, and they put together something, there's some kind of commission or something that have monies and they're trying to figure out what to do, but he doesn't think that it should be given to Black people. And she asked him why, and he didn't really have a good explanation, but I don't even know how you pay back for that kind of stuff. But I just think, we have to do better. We have to figure out, are we okay with how history is being created here in 2021? What is the history we're going to tell? They're trying to act like the insurrection didn't happen, like it was a field trip, or something like that. We have to do better. And ask yourself, what are you doing? All right. Bye-bye.